Good morning, and it is the first day of May, Crypto Day 2018. I do not know how long this video will be. However, you do. You can see it on your video screen. However, I'll know before you will how long this will be because this video is not live, but very darn near close to such. The time right now is 10:21 a.m. Eastern Time. And I talk about the concerns that I have within Bitcoin, which means that I see as if it may need further correction. What does the 3-day chart show me? Well, the 3-day chart, and the reason why I'm using 3 is I have to use the next larger level because I think a small leg test is going to be coming in. I see the 18 average of lows rising barely, trying to establish a new trend, and that it is coming very close to this key Fibonacci line. So really the number that I already have at 79.72 is going to remain where I would think that price would be. What doesn't concern me would be that of my trading strategy. And for that, I expect long term that profits are going to do very well for me, and they have, which is basically since I started trading a little over 1 year in time now. This code, SLS, is a must trade within almost every one of my strategies. And when we look at where we're standing right now, this is a 3-day chart, and just the moves you see up and down as such is phenomenal. Daily chart. See, this is why it's down so much. It went way up yesterday and it went way down today. But, the length and time of these moves. Let's go to the single hour chart. Yeah. It really didn't spend much time north of the 68 handle. For it was 2 periods up and it gave it all back quick. If you think about how markets normally move, we're going back to this time frame here. This would be normality, we'll call it. Oh, we have a little bit of resistance at the 655. Okay. See, what would have been normal would have been everything up to 1700 hours, everything but the 3, we'll call it. If we eliminate the 3 with just like sideways action up to about 690, the market's moving normal. But anyone was able to get some free gains up here. I unfortunately didn't do as well as I should have at this time. I mean, there's no excuse at 1900 hours for me to have missed out on some of the gains. I think my highest sale was like 73 or something, or 74. However, it's still profit nonetheless. Let's take a look at Dash, because I noticed earlier today it had a nice little quick pickup move, which enabled me to get a sell order in, as the price action on the daily term time frame, after having this breakout April 18th. It continued further for 1 leg higher after the small correction, and is still in the midst of a correctionary move, but now rallying up from the lower end. And on the 1 hour time frame, yeah, I'll be I would have sold what time is it now? 10:30, so somewhere up around in here I would have sold some, so I'll be looking to sell again. Let me just check to see where it stands for me now. And my last sale was 529. So I wouldn't want to sell on a move of just 2%. I'm going to be looking for more, although I do take Dash for lower percentage moves because I play a higher amount of it within its portfolio sizing. It's definitely having a very good move. But yeah, I'll buy low, sell high. So during this down move here, from April the 24th down in here, let's even see if I can copy and paste the action that I've had what was over my last few trades. And this would be the last week and a half or close to such, as far as the last few trades have went in. But yeah, this is April 23rd, I would have sold at 58. And then for the next day on the 24th, it was bye bye, bye bye. And oftentimes I'll use Dash as a portfolio cleaner, as I like to call it. And if I need to just accumulate or distribute a little bit of Bitcoin, and Dash needs to have a small buy or a small sell, I'll execute them the rare occasion. But I like to get a decent enough amount of gains to be able to make these kinds of trades. Now, when markets don't move as much, like, well, Litecoin has not been too active lately, as this has been its 1 hour time frame. So since this price moved down on April the 24th, it has just been going sideways within this consolidation period, and just very, very low volatility at this time frame. And that's a key word, at this time frame. Was volatility low at the this February 2nd and 3rd and up in here? No, volatility was really good from February the 2nd until March the 3rd. So for the entire month of February, Litecoin had amazing volatility in being able to trade. But as I've stated, within a lot of these markets, when they're ready to go, they're just going to go. Okay, now let's remove the lines on here, thus putting the Poloniex version. It's pretty much the exact same thing. And on a situation like this, we can see again on the lower volatility and how it was grinding really badly, with one amazing buy order available on the week of September the 14th, 2015. But it has been holding the big key levels that I've been wanting to see it do. So this has all been productive, and you have a move from point A to point B. The span of duration of time, we're looking at April 2014 down to May of 2015, so about 1 year. And when these markets go, they go. So we go from, again, mid-May to early July. Almost 2 months. Now, during the correctionary move in here, this one was very harsh. And even if I withstand or discount this move in here, this entire durational play broke through previous low and did so with a decent leg lower. This was the must hold areas, as I talk about in different spots, because you have point A, point B, point C. So if ABC is going to work, I need a higher low. And what's the deepest I can see it go? And 61.8 to 76.4 really does fit the bill. And that's what I'm looking at within this, as far as just the eye test is concerned, a little bit above the low. It didn't. This is the failure move. These are the failure signals in here. And this is the decline. A, B, C, D. And then in here, after the fast move up, and all cryptos going down at the end of the year, but this one having that volatile move. So now back to here, test of this, holding and staying above. That's the key point. And I always determine, and what do I have to determine as what's the number it needs to stay above? Obviously, this key low has to be above here. So it stayed in here. I would just think it needs to hold and stay above even something like this, given its overall long-term volatility. So to say that I think it's holding up well, yeah, I'd want to see it stay above like 110 long-term, given its moves. So it's possible to me you could have this come in here on a bullish level still. And then, of course, as we've seen so many times within this, you have your high and your lows with the circles come into place. That if it can manage to have all of these up circles that are around the same spot, that means it's resisted the same area 4 different times. It's supported it in various different outlets. But to be able to do the next support circle at a much higher level than the number that I want to see it hold, which on an advanced level you could say here, and I say advanced because if it rallies from here, that's an advanced higher low that can be difficult for some people to point out, but it becomes obvious if you get a decent leg lower, say to 126, then move up. That would be an amazing place for this long-term circle to show. And that when it does manage to have its move higher, it could be substantially big given everything that's shown here other than a bunch of drawings, which can be so easily deleted. But it's just now a manner of just waiting for this thing to get going. Short term, with all the other altcoins relatively doing well, Litecoin hasn't. Since the end of the year, when all of the markets went down, this one has as well. It's went from 248 to 160, but a lot of them are still down more than half of its value. Although some of them are better than such, but their lows. They ended up losing well more than 3-4x in many cases. And in this situation here, of course, it gave back what percentage of its move? So what we do is you take the late November, early December lows of any coin, because that's pretty much when they all bottomed. And then whenever their high was, which was probably late December, January, for most of them, you have high divided by low. And where do you rank? Well, this one's ranking pretty decent, well, closer to the high than the low. Most coins didn't have that, where, of course, Litecoin in this case did. So long term, it's showing a lot of productive signals still in comparison with a lot of the other coins. Dash being one example in this case, which we can see is a little bit not as long-term quite as good, but has managed to stay in a very beautiful sideways consolidation throughout the last, this is the weekly chart again, year and change. It has been in a range. It is leaving the bottom end of the range from the 415 handle up to past the 1000 handle. And then codes like LSK, which when we look at this on its daily time frame, these are the December lows, the highs. It was at 300 and change. It fell down to 100 and change. So it lost 3 times its value against Bitcoin. Looking at its placement, it's close to the 60% mark. However, as I'm saying this, I'm just looking at this pattern right now. I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to give out mathematical data. Well, I'm also trying to process the technical analysis of this pattern. So, and the line that I have in there is such a big, big level. This is a magnificent pattern. So after the decline bottomed on the 1st of April, resist it. And this is what you call successfully correcting a move, but it hasn't managed to have a leg higher yet. Oh boy, I mean, wow, this thing looks ready to go. It really, really does at this stage, because you have a couple resistance hits on April 12th and the 13th, pulls back, and then it has a more serious, like one quick buy, bring it back down to the day, but taking several days to get there. Decent volatility, bringing it back to the 18, and even a little bit nice little scare move here, making it look, oh my goodness, this is like being concerned. And yet sometimes when you're concerned, it can still work. But now again, after successfully correcting this 18 average band, thus far it has anyway, from April the 3rd to present, that's about 1 month. The Monday session gets above the 18 average after it got to it the day before. So I like how it's staying and holding above this area like this for a while. And well, it wouldn't surprise me when I see this pattern that, ooh, it goes from 153 and then an hour and 45 minutes it's at 176. And who knows how much even more after that, because when these things go, they can oftentimes have really magnificent moves. But I just brought this up as a random code too, which is like interesting. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to NXT. Okay, I think if you've watched my videos, you pretty much know what the story is. It had a great move up to April the 19th. This is what you call successfully correcting a move via price. When it bottomed on April the 25th, it had a up day, regaining its placement within the 18. The day after that, it rallied up to the 18 highs but pulled back. And then 2 consecutive days with the green and red candle consolidating close to resisting the 18 average of closes, it would look like, which is the middle area. Yesterday's session, it gets a nice green candle. Intraday, it gets above the 18 of highs, breaking several previous days' levels of resistance, which is 2 days. It's April 27th and April 24th resistance. It broke through both of those days, tested the resistance of both the April 20th and April 19th levels, pulled back to the 18 highs. But today's session had a small pullback early to start it, as we can tell with the line down to about the 2300 handle, but has rallied, broke yesterday's highs, and is now, well, the exact highs on April the 19th was in at 2563, current highs today, 2577, so it's broken it by 14 basis points. You know what, in my book, it's a matching high, but it technically has now went through it. But that's another reason why I'm saying you want a clear breakout above it. Ooh, look at that. I mean, it's just so wonderful to... now, I as far as where it is Fibonacci-wise, I got... how many lines? I should have 4, but I got 3. And they're different levels back. However, I can calculate such. Price was on its high 14,000 and change. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out it's down a lot since then. No, it doesn't. And if you talk to anyone about markets and say, hey, what do you think about an idea of getting into something, say at around, I don't know, around 869, and we're talking like November, and we can turn this half a year later into something up to 2,530. 869 to 2530. Well, we can do this in a half a year. What do you think? Of course, that's a huge major gain, yeah. Well, technically it's up pretty decent from this level as well. So this is what I want to do. Let's delete this. Let's delete this. Let's delete this. And let's get 4 lines in. Now, technically speaking, I need to use this slow. Now, to see what it is, I'm just gonna just do this, and I can see it better. 522. And now I need to see what the high was, which was just recently. 2 days before Christmas, 14,600. Key numbers, and these are the foreign lines I'm going to want to put in. The bottom one, 1146. The one above that at 1863. The one above that at 66. Excuse me, at 4090. Then above that at 6652. So I'll start by placing a horizontal ray. Now this comes in at 2987, which means I'm going to just work my way down. So I'll do 6652 to start. Why is it format? I think it was 6652. My number. Oh, this is rare for me to be right with my short-term memory at times like this. Yeah, look how an interesting matches coincides with these highs in here. Next number below is 4090. Probably the next upside target. If you have those fast moves, and this code is majorly capable of it. And then below that we got 1863, which it's already risen above. But I'm going to do the line below that first, 1146. And then the one again is at 1863. And there we have it. See, when I see four lines like this, I know what they mean for me every single time. Well, then the pattern for NXT, again, breaking it above, it wouldn't surprise me if it does it in like a couple days ago, or even one day. It goes from like 2500 to 30 to 4090, if it so pleases to do so, because there's been big volatility in the past within this code. Now with PivX, it's very interesting because just before here, I was mentioning that this thing was like really ready to get going. I like the look of this pattern here. And then it had this decent size move higher, breaking the 64 level and then going over 70. Has pulled back. But now the pullback successfully came down to the 18 lows and several days supporting the low. However, 3 days ago, it managed to have a small up day, but its first day to the 18 average of highs since the fall. Yesterday's session on Monday, it rallied up to the 18 highs, and that's where it closed. I see several lines in the area of about 61,018 up to about 62.3. So this is a very, very big level, and it's breaking this. It's now it's a clear breakout of this resistance in here. It's a clear breakout of the 18 average of highs. So to me, this thing is again poised to have a potentially decent breakout moving forward. Let's move on next to Steem, S-T-E-E-M. Within this one here, it's low from early December, 9,300. It's high, 60,000. It's doing really well now. From point low to point high. And it retraced from about 60 down to about 20. So it lost about 3 times its value. Okay. How's NXT doing? It's losing a lot more. Some are more volatile than others. Good thing to know. As far as where it's been over the last week, it's chopping around. That's why when I talk about longer term, how Litecoin has been doing relatively well, it has outperformed most of these other coins. Now Steam, in this example, has done very well since its bottom, doing better than doubling, outperforming, of course, Litecoin and many other cryptocurrencies because it's amongst the top gainers in the month of April. The monthly chart, of course, had a decent gain, finishing last month at 21,000, finishing this last month at 42. It doubled this last month. Now, I don't know which, I guess if you look at the last 30 days, you could get a good example of which ones are doing well. I remember there was a site I could see for that, and I'm really barely interested in the knowledge of such right now. But it's done really well lately from the bottom. Over the last several days, since the April 27th top, this thing has fell from 50,000 and change, now 41,000 and change. That's a 20% decline. Price action is correcting within this 18 so far. Nothing to state that this is going to not be a failed correction at this stage. But it can obviously correct more. The 18 average still, it's still well, decent, not well above it, but it's noticeably above it. If it comes back to where it came from, well, this high 39,989, today's low 39,433. It's already came back to that point. If it goes deeper, I'd be looking more towards 36,400, which would be a small pierce below the 18 lows. But even 37.3, 38 is going back deeper to where the market would have come from. For reversal of the bearish trend to go bearish, we need to see weakness within, of course, this correctionary move. Was there weakness within the last correctionary move? Nope, because it corrected within the 18 average of highs. It had a failed move. Interestingly, I want to see this closely now, because if we notice the big rally on the 25th, the low for that move was lows not seen since, well, really this point in here. But it made several multi-day lows. It would have had a decent sized red candle when it was at the bottom end in here. So let's take a look at this on, say, a 3-hour time frame. And I guess it would have been this move in here. The old classic failed move, fast move, get you style. And I say classic because I was so used to seeing this so many times at the end of the last decade into the start of this one, 2008 through 2012, 2013. On the traditional markets, we'll call it, where you see in here that the market fell through, barely broke this resistance. Now, the idea of situations like this is, okay, we're now in the early stages of what could be a big decline. This thing has the potential on a bearish side to either have significant moves lower coming in forward from here, but more likely the next rally, whether it be now or whether it be a little bit lower, to most definitely come to some sort of point like the 18 average and then just shoot down lower big from there. That was the classic setup that was happening. But no, it just skyrockets. That's one of the things to keep in mind with a lot of the markets that this is happening more and more often in crypto space compared to when I first got into it over a year ago. That didn't happen as much in 2017. It's happening more often. It might be an indication to different players in the game. I won't say anything more, but okay, I'm going to conclude this video but talk about silver to finish it, which on the hourly time frame has continued its decline to 16. Daily time frame would be at its last levels, barely breaking support from down in Christmas time. So we're at all-time lows for the year 2018, priced in US dollars. Is this going to continue further? Well, I just talked about what a failed move would look like, because as I just stated, we're at a spot now where it's overextended to the downside in here. We're looking at this on the daily. It has barely broken support. So therefore, I would expect it could be very sharp decline from here if we don't have any buyers anytime soon. I would expect short term this to go up and either have that failed move, fast move that I showed earlier, but realistically, if it's bearish, you'd have a rally up to maybe 1640, 1630-ish something, and then, oh, down she goes. And again, as I stated in the 4-minute morning, looking for a test of about 1560-ish. And as I stated in the 4-minute morning this morning, I purchased that of 36 ounces of silver. I went basically pure value. I got the cheapest I could possibly get. Well, second cheapest I could get 36 ounces. No, it was the cheapest I could get 36 ounces, I think. I got 3 10-ounce bars, the cheapest I could get, and I got 6 single ounces, relatively cheap as well, as far as its cost versus other coins. Generic brands, but they're all silver as far as I'm concerned. I've talked about how I want some of my silver to be that form for purposes of what I would call the melting craze to come up in the, I would think, the next decade. And then I like to have some coins that are nice and other bars that are nice too, as far as what I think could contain or hold value for multiple decades. And see, as a trader, this is a way of paying myself, is by purchasing precious metals. It's a way of protecting against any possible cryptocurrency collapse. I want to ensure that I get enough silver back, but I do not destroy my bankroll. 0.07 taken off, you know what, that I can lose that in an hour or two, easy. So therefore, I want to get enough to make it worth it, but I don't want to take my portfolio down enough so that I really lose out on gains. I'd like to see in a couple months from now that I'm going to spend more because the price is much higher, my portfolio goes higher and everything of that nature. But Bitcoin prices are 20,000, 30,000 again. And we're not getting 36 ounces on those situations, no. But I just want to guarantee that I can turn as much of this as I can into physical silver, and I've done so very well since I've started. And this was a very, very long video. And I think I said at the start of the video as an intro that I don't know how long this was going to be, because I knew I was going to talk about the couple things on the intro, Salus, and the being concerned about the Bitcoin prices, not being concerned about the my trading strategies, basically. And I'm not concerned that the volatility is going to leave in crypto space either as well. Have yourself a magnificent day. Take care. Bye-bye.